Hey guys, Matt here. This is my review, Saturday Night. This movie is directed by Jason Reitman, who previously did Juno and Ghostbusters Afterlife. The movie stars Gabriel LaBelle. Now, there are a whole bunch of actors in this movie, but I either don't know who they are, or there's way too many to list here in the intro. Now, the plot of this movie is Lorne Michaels, played by Gabriel, is struggling to get his new sitcom show, Saturday Night, on the air. But the movie takes place an hour and a half beforehand. So he's struggling to get all the actors in their places, the lighting just right, the writing down, the segments on the show, all these meetings he has to do. Everything has to be perfect for the broadcast. Now, going into this movie, I've always been a fan of Saturday Night Live. I've been a fan of sketch comedy shows in general for a long time, whether it's SNL, Mad TV, The State, Whitest Kids You Know, Kids in the Hall. Now, I was excited because I didn't know what this movie was going to be about. I thought it was going to be about each of the early SNL performers, Chevy Chase and John Belushi, and maybe their own journeys and how they eventually would get to Saturday Night Live. But instead, we get a movie about Lorne Michaels trying to get all these pieces in their place so he can air this new groundbreaking TV show. So I saw the movie, and I thought it was great. If I had to sum this movie up, I would say it's most likely akin to the movie on Netflix called A Futile and Stupid Gesture, which is about Doug Kenny, one of the creators of Mad Magazine. I would also equate this to a movie like Birdman, where you have all this behind-the-scenes look, all this behind-the-scenes preparation for a production we may or may not get to see. And it's done in such a way that it tells such a fascinating story. It's one of those, hard to believe this is a true story type of thing. All these things go wrong, and, what started out as this one man's idea, what started out as this, dream of all these writers and producers and Lorne Michaels himself and all these other characters involved became a show that we're still watching 50 years later. And to see the debut of that show, to see how this first early show was put on, is really fun to watch. It felt a lot like a documentary, where you're shown all these things as opposed to being told them, but you're kind of just sitting there going, there's no way this is going to work, just like a couple others in the movie, and here we are. Now, let me start with the acting in this movie. The acting from every single person involved in this movie is very good. Much like how Lorne Michaels went with these seemingly unknown actors as, the first 7 cast members of the show, the movie did a very, very clever job of doing the same thing with a bunch of unknown actors in this movie. There are a couple standouts. To name a few of the actors, you've got Corey Michael Smith, who played the Riddler from the TV show Gotham. He played Chevy Chase, and he did a really good job. They did a good job of showing you the kind of person that Chevy Chase was and is, but they also had a nice little moment where they showed you that he's very funny, and maybe he's a big fish in this small pond, even though this is their first night on air. They kind of showed you how he would seemingly get the tap on the shoulder, if you will, to go to Hollywood later on. Some of the other standouts were Lamorne Morris as Garrett Morris. No relation, but they do share the same last name, and Garrett Morris was an idol of Lamorne, and he did a really good job trying to find his role in the cast and what part he plays. Nicholas Braun, he played Greg in Succession. He has 2 roles in this movie. One of them is Andy Kaufman. I'm not going to tell you what the other one is in case you can't recognize him. You also got Dylan O'Brien from The Maze Runner as Dan Aykroyd. Wow. He looked and sounded the part. Now, I'm going to be praising all of these actors that I'm about to read off because it's all really good, but there were some standouts. Kim Matula as Jane Curtin. You also had Cooper Hoffman in his next role outside of, what is it called? The Licorice movie. And, he played Dick Ebersol, and, man, At first, he was kind of like a tag along to Lorne Michaels, but there's a scene where he really shows that he is Philip Seymour Hoffman's son. So he was really good in this movie. You had Matthew Rhys as a young George Carlin, which was amazing. Matt Wood as John Belushi, who looks just like him. And then you had Tommy Dewey as Michael Donahue, one of the head writers, who played, I'll say, an unfiltered man. He did a really good job as this, very, very brash, no filter type of person. You also have cameos from two big stars, J.K. Simmons as Milton Berle, and Willem Dafoe as Dick Tebbett, I think he was. He's one of the producers. Now, this is just an observation. It's not really a gripe. I would say that this is, and I can't believe I'm saying this, this is probably the first Willem Dafoe role where really anybody could have played that part. But the character of Dick Tebbett was really just another another obstacle, another thing pushing and working against Lorne Michaels and trying to get this show on TV. So you kind of had to have like a bad guy figure in this movie, and he played that role just fine. I mean, he looked the part with his sunglasses and everything. So this movie is also like Uncut Gems, where there's a lot of things happening, a lot of characters you have to follow, and a lot of, predicaments, a lot of problems, a lot of things going wrong, where it might get your blood pressure up a little bit because there's a lot of things that make you anxious and you want this to succeed and you want it to go really well. It told a really good story. If you don't know the origins of Saturday Night Live or what that show even is, this is a good job of showing you, hey, this idea of all these outcasts, all these random people, all these things that were never seen or done before became hugely successful. And I'm really glad this movie went to theaters. I think more people need to see this, and I'm really glad it's not on streaming. They need to make more biopics like this. More band movies, or heck, do, other attributes to pop culture in this style, because it was very eye-opening, but at the same time very informative and very entertaining. And because of that, I'm going to give Saturday Night an A. This is definitely going in my top 5 of best movies of 2024 so far. So whether you're a fan of great ensemble casts, Saturday Night Live, or just good, informative, entertaining stories, I highly recommend this. So live from New York, it's Saturday night. Till next time, guys. See ya.